Abby Steiner versus Sha'Carri Richardson. This is one of the biggest clashes that we are set to see this season. And in the women's 200-meter dash, in this year's United States Championships, these two superstars of this event are really coming in with big hopes here. And I think it's almost inevitable that they both will get to the top 3 positions, qualifying for the World Championships in this event. However, the big question is who is going to come out on top in this event. Now, Abby Steiner almost caught her over the final 20 or 30 meters, finishing only a few 100ths behind and running a pretty fantastic race. Now, since this time, both athletes have gone their separate ways, with Richardson mostly focusing on the 100 and Steiner mostly focusing on the 200 meters. However, this season in 2023, we're seeing both athletes get ready for this event, and they are both looking extremely fit. Now, Richardson's best event simply has to be the 100 meters. Right now, she's ranked number 2 in the world with a time of 10.76. She hasn't been beaten once this season in this event. However, don't sleep on her in the 200, because she's actually run a season's best slightly faster than Abby Steiner, as she ran a time of 22.07 in this year's Kip Keino Classic. And don't forget, in this race, she actually slowed down pretty significantly over the final 20 or 30 meters. If Richardson has a good race and follows through and sprints all the way through the tape, I think it is pretty clear that she can get close to or break the 22-second barrier. But a similar kind of performance is expected from Abby Steiner. Given that this is her first professional season running for Puma, Steiner is running slightly differently than how she ran last year when she was in the NCAA. She hasn't quite broken 22 like she had various times at this point last season, but she has been running very consistently, around 22.1 to 22.2. Now, in her most recent race in this year's New York Grand Prix, Steiner ran a fantastic performance, closing her final 100 meters in 10.71. This kind of close showcases unbelievable sprinting strength. In fact, this is her fastest closing 100 in her entire career up to this point. Even if we compare this kind of close to last year's World Championships, we actually see that this would be the second fastest close out of the entire field, only falling behind Sha'Carri Jackson, who went pretty crazy with a performance of 21.45. At the moment, Steiner and Richardson both have extreme hype behind their names, and they're both perfectly poised to make this year's World Championship finals. But what should we expect from this year's National Championships, and who should we expect to come out on top? At the moment, I think both athletes are going to get pretty close to 22 seconds, perhaps even a little bit faster than that. If we look back to Nairobi this season, we can see that Sha'Carri Richardson clearly could have broken 22. Now, in last year's United States Championships, Steiner actually ran a time of 21.77. However, given her amazing indoor season and her slow and methodical improvements during this year's outdoor season, I think that she is actually doing a pretty good job at getting ready for this year's World Championships and finding it in herself to peak at the right time. It's always a pretty big challenge to slowly pace your season to find your best fitness at the right moment. But given how she has run in the past, and given how she hasn't quite broken 22 this season, I think it just might be time for Abby Steiner to break 22 seconds, and this race against Sha'Carri Richardson is certainly going to be fire. Now, we also have to mention Gabby Thomas, who comes into this race with a personal record of 21.61, which actually ranks her number 4 all-time, only behind Sha'Carri Jackson, Elaine Thompson-Herah, and also Florence Griffith-Joyner. If Gabby Thomas puts together the race that she is capable of running, she is close to unbeatable on the US scene. But she hasn't quite broken 22 seconds either this season, and while I do expect her to be in the mix, now it's also important to mention that Richardson has to run the 100 meters, including the 100-meter rounds. Over the course of 5 or 6 days, she'll probably be running close to 6 entire races. So her final performance in the 200 meters could be slightly slowed down given her demanding schedule. And for Abby Steiner and Gabby Thomas, at the moment they're only declared in the 200, so they certainly have more of an advantage against Sha'Carri Richardson. And now I really want to hear from all of you. What times do you think these athletes are set to run in this year's US Nationals in the 200, and athlete set to run in this 200 meters? Leave your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, until next time.